Our guest this afternoon, who is Guy Borlée, the director of Il Cinema Ritrovato. This festival, as I was mentioning before to start for other students, is dedicated to the study of film history and is specialized in search of the best film sources at the international level, in the management of a large production team, and in the creation of musical accompaniment for silent films. I was telling them, Guy, that I remember very well the screenings at the Braccia Maggiore with these wonderful orchestras. And also you are specialized in the organization of international conferences and also, of course, in the economic management of events. And I should add that you are also specialized in managing this kind of festival or events in this coronavirus moment, or scenario. Our guest is also a lecturer. Usually he visits different universities in Europe about film programming, festival development. Since 1995, he is the coordinator of the summer programming in English Under the Stars of Cinema, or Sotto le Stelle del Cinema, presenting film classics open air on a huge screen on Piazza Maggiore, which is the central square of Bologna. So thank you very much for accepting this invitation, Guy, and you have the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Loreto. Hello, everybody. So the festival is extremely popular around the world with cinephiles, but also with students studying film history or film studies in general. So I hope maybe someday you can have a chance to come also. I will show you some slides and explain you a little bit more in detail what happened also last year, because the festival is used to be scheduled at the end of June, but last year we had to postpone it to the end of August because of the pandemic, of course. So we had to change our plans. We had to change the setting of the theaters and so on. So I will explain you quickly what we did, and also I will try to show you some of the resources that are part of the Cinema Ritrovato. So, of course, the festival is the public event, but I always think that it's the top of the iceberg. So it's what you can see, but there are many, many things under the sea level, and I will try to unveil some of these aspects. So this is the Piazza Maggiore in Bologna. This is the heart of the town. This is the place where everybody meets naturally. And we have been organizing free screenings there for more than 20 years now. So they are very popular now. And sorry, I'm trying to go ahead with the photos, but they don't move. Maybe here. Yeah. Okay. So we organized the festival at the end of August, just before the Venice Festival, and it was very important. First of all, to change the setting of the audience. So we had to leave one seat between each group of spectators. Maybe you followed some screenings in the open air in Madrid or in other place, so I suppose you experienced this. And this screen is the second biggest in Europe after the Locarno screen for the festival in August. So and we had a chance, for example, to collaborate with the Cannes Festival, because Cannes could not take place in May. So we made a deal with them to present in premiere some newly restored film like Bout Souffle, Acatone, and other ones. So this is, maybe you can see Loreto among the audience here. No, she's not there. Okay, so of course it was a big challenge for us to manage to reopen the piazza. We did it at the beginning of July. And this is the image of the piazza in 1 year before, with about 7,000 person attending. So this was the biggest hit of that edition because we screened the premiere of the the European premiere of the newly restored version of Apocalypse Now. And Coppola was present. So it was a big event. He also held a wonderful lecture. And the year before we had Martin Scorsese. But this year we had to do a sort of slightly reduced version for the guests because many people could not travel from outside Europe. But the big challenge was to have the maximum possible number of seats. So, for example, in the Piazza Maggiore, the maximum that was allowed for us was 1,000 persons, all seated in a numbered seat. Everybody had to book in advance his own seat, and that was, of course, a big change. And we could use only 1,000 seats out of 1,600. So to compensate this limitation, we decided to build other outdoor cinemas like the Barca Arena, which we built for the first time, and it was in another neighborhood of Bologna. And so for 2 months we screened them, the same films as in Piazza Maggiore. We screened them in the Barca Arena, always in free screenings for the whole summer. And in the middle you have another location that we use for a long time now. It's a smaller one. It's called Arena Puccini. So quickly a few photos to see the setting. This is the Barca Arena. Okay, and we had to build it very quickly with the help of the city of Bologna that wanted to offer beautiful films to the people of other neighborhood, not only the lucky people living near Piazza Maggiore, but also outside the center. So this is Arena Puccini. Okay, and another big challenge was to have other cinemas, indoor cinemas for the week. So we were very fortunate to make a good deal with the Teatro Comunale di Bologna. So Teatro Comunale is the opera house of Bologna, one of the 6 big opera in Italy. And as they were not programming any opera or concerts, they agreed to let us organize screenings inside the opera for the whole week. And also they let us use another space that they own, which is Teatro Auditorium Manzoni on the left. So again, we could it's a concert hall, but we could transform it into a cinema for 1 week. And we made a deal also with Cinema Odeon for the first time this year to use another cinema. So this is the inside of the opera house. That was the best location we could dream of to screen silent films because, well, the image is clear. So we could make only 200 spectators happy at a time, but it was really beautiful always with the live music. This is the Teatro Manzoni, and this is the Odeon. Okay, and these are the other cinemas that we use to that we use every year for a long time now. So Cinema Lumière belongs to Cineteca. These are 2 theaters that we use every day of the year as a film archive theater for programming of like the same as the Cine Doré in Madrid, for example. And the other 2, Arlecchino and Joly, are very beautiful cinemas, and they are really close to Cinema Lumière. So they are within 10 minutes walk, I would say. Okay, so this is the Arlecchino. This is the entrance of the Arlecchino, the entrance of Cinema Jolly, the Arlecchino with also some premiere. This is the director Jonathan Nossiter, who could present his film Last Words for the first time in a public screening. It was selected for Cannes, so he was extremely happy, of course, to be in the few selected films for Cannes. But because of the pandemic, he had to wait more than 4 months to get his film on the screen. So we organized the premiere. One of the actors is Stellan Skarsgård, who came to introduce the film, and also the director of Cannes, Thierry Frémaux, came to celebrate this event, because also for him he had to wait for 4 months to have one of the selected films on inside a theater for a public screening. We invited Volker Schlöndorff, the German director. Marco Bellocchio is one of the most famous Italian director, and also the president of Cineteca de Bolonia. Dario Argento was connected with us from his home. Angela Allen is not so famous, but she was the script girl on this film. I hope you recognize it. It's the Misfits. I don't know the title in Spanish, but of course you can recognize Marilyn Monroe in the middle and Clark Gable on the right and Montgomery Clift on the left. So she could tell us how they what happened on the set 50 years before. This is Anselma Dell'Olio, who introduced for the first time a brand new documentary on Fellini dei Spiriti. Paolo Merghetti is one of the best and most famous Italian critics. And to give you a quick overview of the program, we divide the festival in different sections. So, well, quickly, there is a program dedicated from the films from 120 years ago, and another one from 100 years ago. So it's a big research of in the archives from around the world, and most of all, Marianne Lewinsky is making the selection to help the spectators understand what happened at that time. Then we had the program of the some pioneers of the women pioneers of in Soviet cinema. A tribute to Buster Keaton with a lot of restoration done inside our own restoration lab, L'Immagine Ritrovata. A selection of new documentaries on film history with many directors present. A tribute to forgotten, let's say, Japanese directors, Yuzo Kawashima. Cinema Libero is a selection of films from around the world, from countries that again are not in the spotlight of film history, but it's a way of rediscovering. Ritrovato means rediscover, so to rediscover other films from other countries. From Konrad Wolf is one of the best directors from East Germany. And again, we have Gustav Werner from Sweden. Ritrovati Restaurati is the core section of the festival, which means that it's a selection of the best newly restored films from around the world. So probably in this moment there are, I don't know, 2,000 films being restored, but we made a selection of about 100. So films from the States, from every continent, and okay. Another section was Venezia Classici. So the Venice Festival was starting the day after we finished Cinema Ritrovato, and they had the same problem as we did, which means that they had not enough room inside their theaters. So they proposed us to host their selection of classics So we did it with pleasure. It was a selection of 15 great films like Goodfellas or many others. And again, a tribute to Henry Fonda. No need to introduce him. The rediscovery of two American directors, Frank Tuttle and Stuart Heisler, which are not so well known. I didn't know them until 2 years ago. And then a tribute to Marco Ferreri. I hope you know him. He made some of his first films in Spain also. And we invited one of his producer of the time, Pere Portabella. We have a selection of films in 8mm, 16mm, and a big program for kids. So it looks impossible to see all this in 1 week, of course. There are about 400 films, but we did it. And for the first time in the history of Cineteca, we had to also think about programming streaming, because many of the guests that used to come every year to Bologna were not able to do it. So it was very sad for them and for us too. So we proposed them a selection of about 60 films in streaming on a Italian platform, but it was available around the world. So you could see an Henry Fonda film, a documentary, some silent films from home, and also a lot of lectures. So if you could not come to Bologna, you could have the feeling of the festival in your sofa at home. So other important events, special events like this, L'Invenzione dell'Amore, practically it's an not well-known Portuguese film telling about the pandemic of love in Portugal in the 70s. And the young and very talented Italian director Alice Rohrwacher on the photo proposes to organize a sort of show around that film, and she invited the TV star to be on stage and to talk about this film, about the sense of rediscovering beauty and liberty, and it was beautiful. And another special event that we manage to do every year is to organize concert with the orchestra of the Opera House on the Piazza Maggiore. So, for example, last year we had the General with Buster Keaton with the live music, and that are always magical evenings. Okay, so all the silent films are always with, not silent, they are with live music with a piano or piano and drums and small groups. Okay, we have quite a big program for kids, also for film education. It's very important to create, to stimulate the enthusiasm of very young spectators. So now a few numbers. We had about 30,000 spectators in 1 week, which is nice. But the year before, we had 130,000 spectators. So it's only 1/4 of the audience. But it's wonderful that so many people could come. Of course, much less foreigners than usually, but still many colleagues from Europe can come, and the atmosphere was really excellent. So we had less spectators. We have a large group of young volunteers. Most of all, they are students studying in Bologna, but there are many strangers also, foreigners. This is the list of archives and production companies that are sending their films to us. So there are the archives from Los Angeles, from Moscow, and from Madrid, from maybe Barcelona, and So that's the real international dimension of the festival. We are really collaborating with archives from around the world. And we ask them to send their treasures to be rediscovered during the festival. Okay, so quick look at the sponsors. The first line are the public sponsors. So the festival exists thanks to public fundings, most of all, from the Ministry of Culture in Italy, the region Emilia-Romagna, the European Creative Program Media, and so on. We have a few private sponsors, of course, but not that many. So, okay. Then quickly a few names. Just I will mention the 4 directors of the festival. Gianluca Farinelli is the director of Cineteca and is the founder of the festival 34 years ago. And there is also my colleague Cecilia Cenciarelli and 2 other collaborators, directors. Ehsan Koshbakt is an Iranian critic living in London, and Marianne Lewinsky is from Switzerland, and she's expert in silent films. So we have a big artistic committee, people who help, a lot of curators from around the world, curators from France, Germany, Austria, and so on. So a big team for the artistic development. So the directors and the curators are selecting the films. Each time we try to work on let's say the work of Henry Fonda, the curator Alex Horvat selected his best films. We don't need to make a complete retrospective, but we selected 10 of his best films. So again, quickly a few numbers. The total numbers looks huge, of course, but it means there are also very a lot of very short silent films. So it's important to see that there are 76% of European films. That's very important to get access to the European fundings. And so basically during the day, we screen 5, 6, or sometimes 7 films at the same time in different theaters. So probably the most difficult things to do is to choose one film at a time and go from one place to the other. But that's the pleasure of going to a film festival. That's the same everywhere. And we have also we are very proud that still 1/3 of the films are screened on film. So it's probably the highest percentage in the world in this moment. There are a few others specialized festivals in film history, but 30% is quite a lot. Okay, and we screen films in every format, sometimes once or twice a year in 70mm. We are a film archive, so we deeply believe that it's very important to see the films as they were done. So if a film was done on 35, 50 years ago, the best way to see it is still watching a print from that time, or a new print, but on 35. We screened a selection of 16mm films inside the Opera House, and also all the video formats, of course. And to give you an idea of what it means, also, the Cineteca is preserving 79,000 film prints, but only a small selection of them have been restored. So there's still a lot to do, of course, but not all the films needs to be restored. But that's maybe a long debate. And also we make a big effort to make electronic subtitles in Italian and English of practically all the films of the festival. So if we present a Spanish film, it will be in Spanish with the subtitles under the screen. Okay. So that's the overview. Now I will show you some resources that I hope can interest you. So you can go on this website and hang around and I hope you will find interesting information. This is the homepage of the website of the festival. So of course you get the contacts, so that's very easy and normal. If you are interested in the festival and you think it might be possible to attend, you can register to the newsletter in English or in Italian, so you will get automatically all the information. Okay, but one very interesting aspect of this website is that there is a big archive in it. So it means that 120 lectures have been recorded from famous directors like Coppola or Bertrand Tavernier, or lectures on Eduardo De Filippo, on Korean films, on Shaheen, and so on and so on. So if you are curious, you can have access to all these interesting lectures, also on film history, on film restoration, and so on. But we also have a database of all the films that have been screened in the festival. So there are about 6,000 films, and all the catalogs for each year, all the catalogs and program have been can be downloaded directly. So all this research work is available for everybody all the time. And if you are looking for a film like Assunta Spina, important Italian silent film, you might discover this film card where you have a description of the film. What is very interesting for film programmers is that at the bottom you can see the source of the film. So you can, this is an easy case because we restored it, but sometimes it can take a lot of time to find the best possible 35mm print of, I don't know, Singing in the Rain. So we can have that information. Maybe you can reach it in another way, but it takes more time. And for example, on this page, if you click on the little green box on the right, you get a link to this Cine store, which is the web store of Cineteca. And for example, Assunta Spina was published on DVD with the English subtitles, the recorded music, the restored version, and it's on sale for anybody around the world. So you can have a look around that sort of bookshop. We sell DVDs, photos, video clips for documentaries, and so on. So it's a way of making all this patrimony available and make some money out of it, which is also important. So, for example, we have this brand new documentary called The Forgotten Front on the story of the resistance in Bologna during the last winter of the Second World War. We have a very few books in English, like this one on Pasolini. And we published high-level DVDs, like this one on everybody probably has a DVD or a VHS or a Blu-ray of The Kid by Charlie Chaplin, but our restored version is probably the best one available now. It's the latest restored version with the restored music as well. And sometimes after a while, the same version of this film is available in the Criterion collection in the US, for example, or the BFI collection in England. It's possible that a Spanish DVD distributor bought the right for that version. So, okay. And these are other publications. So another interesting project is this Cinema Ritrovato al Cinema. It means that the festival is not only 1 week of screenings for a few lucky persons, but it's also a way of promoting some of the films around Italy. So, for example, last October, I think, we released a new restored version of Caro Diario by Nanni Moretti in Italy in about 100 different cinemas. We had films for kids, some documentaries, a Chaplin film, and so on. So we have a small library. Well, not so small. It's about, I think, around 100 films, and they are classics. So if any film club in Italy wants to screen, we buy the rights for Italy for 1, 2, or 3 years. So if you want to screen Amarcord by Fellini, or The Third Man, or the Battleship Potemkin in Italy, you can have access to a restored version in DCP, or sometimes also in DVD or Blu-ray. So I think that's very important to keep the film culture alive around Italy. We can. Anybody can have. Some of these are also published on DVD. So I think it's important to keep on offering a large proposal of classics, but each time in the best restored version, in original version, with subtitles and so on. Okay. Another project is called Il Cinema Ritrovato on Tour. It means that some university or some archives sometimes contact us, and they want to select some films from the festival, and we help them organize screenings in their place, like some American universities. This was the Potsdam Kinemathek just near Berlin. And also sometimes it's interesting that some of these universities are sending their students to the festival. Oh God, this was 2 years ago. Okay, so the festival, the restored films are going everywhere in famous places like the National Gallery of Art in Washington, which is just between the White House and the Capitol Hill, or in a very small festival in Africa. Okay, and so the films that we are promoting, the films around the world, and trying to show them to anybody who wants to screen them. We have this another website called Cinefilia Ritrovata. So this is a space for young critics to talk about cinema. It's a sort of blog. This is the official web homepage of the Cineteca, where there are information about everything that we do. In this moment, our theater Cinema Lumière is closed. We hope it might reopen around Easter. But in the meantime, we are partners with this project, Io Resto in Sala, which means that there are a selection of films in streaming that are available every day. So it's about the same programming that we would have done in the cinema. We have to do it online. This is the program Sotto le Stelle del Cinema. So on Piazza Maggiore for 2 months, we organize free screenings of classics, but also new films or documentaries. So it's quite important to educate an audience and to offer them during the summer a large cultural offer. We are very lucky in Bologna that there are around 70,000 students studying, many foreign students also, so they have a lot of time to go to the movies. A few words about our restoration lab, l'Immagine Ritrovata, which has become very important, and they work for not only for Cineteca, but with all the French or American majors, and they are partners in important project of education, like the film school that was done in Mexico, or sometimes in Bologna. They have an office in Paris and in Hong Kong, so it has become a sort of reference in the film restoration world. Okay, so that's about it.
Thank you very much, Guy, for your overview, and it is really amazing the work that you do in the Cineteca of Bologna. I just want to start just asking you something about the festival for this coming summer. If you have already projects, or I mean, I guess you have the program most of it completed. But I don't know if you can explain a little bit of this. And also, if I was wondering if you had this restoration school open for this coming summer or not.
We are preparing the program for the end of June. So we still hope and dream that it can happen between the 26th of June and the 3rd of July. But of course, we are not sure it will be possible. First of all, the cinemas have to reopen around Italy. So we hope it can happen around just after Easter. That's but if it doesn't happen, it's a problem. So probably if we have to delay it, it might end up at the end of August, like we did last year. So we really prefer to do it in June because, you know, the days are longer. It would be better for everybody, but we'll see what we can do. The program it's a good point, but I cannot reveal it yet. We will send a newsletter as soon as the dates are confirmed, and but the program will be just wonderful.
Good. And about this restoration school?
Yes, it's not decided yet because it should have happened in last year in Bologna, and the selection of the students was already done, so we were ready to do it, but at the end it was postponed. So it's possible that it might happen next June, but we are not sure yet. But usually it takes place in Bologna 1 year out of 2. So if every other year the restoration film school happens in, it went to Mexico, to Argentina, Singapore, in India also. So it's traveling around the world, but 1 year out of 2 it's in Bologna. During the festival, it takes
it's like 1 week, right?
No, it's 3 weeks. Practically, it's the week of the festival plus 2 weeks inside the restoration lab. And it's a selection of about, I would think, 40 or 50 students from around the world. It's an advanced training course, so usually it's for people already working inside an archive or restoration lab. So it's not for beginners.
Hi, Guy. Thank you so much for your all the information you gave us. I would like to know some details about the copy that you was restored. Where was it kept? How long it took to be restored, and a little bit of the progress of restoration.
Let's say that restoration changed completely in the last 15 years. So until 15 years ago, it was all in photochemical procedures. Now it's went to digital, of course. So, well, to make a long story short, you have to make a lot of research before starting. For example, if you want to restore the Kid by Charlie Chaplin, you have to make research to find all the best copies around the world, the original elements, like the original negative, if it still exists, all the best copies around the world, and then study each copy to rebuild in some way the most complete version. It takes a lot of time, so also all the prints have to be, first of all, physically repaired. So somebody has to clean the print or repair the splices and all this, or the perforations. And then when it's ready, it goes into a scanner. So it's scanned frame by frame. At that point, it can be a very high definition. Now it can be 8K, or depends on the budget, or between 2 and 8. And then somebody else would work on the cleaning of the images, or the cleaning of the sound, or the color correction, and so on. And at the end, all this can be put together into a new master version that has to be approved by the owner of the film, the director, if he's still alive, or the archive that did the project. And then the film can start a second life in some way. So at that point, it's still a digital file. It's still now possible to go back to print also. So at that point, you can make a new 35mm print for screen, but also for preservation. Because at the moment, the most secure format for preservation is still film stock. So that's important to keep in mind, because the digital world has many advantages, but there are some limitations also. So yeah, it's important to keep in mind that film history was made on film. So we do our best to keep on preserving it this way. But a digital file has the advantage that it becomes a DCP, a digital cinema package, and that format can be screened in this moment practically anywhere around the world. So you have much more possibilities for screenings, for going towards a TV release, or a DVD or Blu-ray. So all the possibilities are open, but a film print is still important. Well, of course, it depends on the budget, because that's sometimes the most expensive part of the budget, but let's keep it in mind.
That's great. And is the final copy kept in Bologna, or is it in?
Oh, it depends. If it's a project from Cineteca di Bologna, yes. If we worked on the restoration of an Italian silent or sound film, a great classic, we would keep it. But the laboratory is working with the Sony Columbia, or Pathé in France, or maybe tomorrow Filmoteca Spagnola, and then they will keep their copies. Of course, another very important point is the copyright situation of each film, because usually it's the owner of the film wants to keep the property of his film. So sometimes we restored some great classics, like, I don't know, the Dolce Vita by Fellini, and we keep a DCP, the best DCP of the restored version here, but we don't have the rights. So each time somebody wants to screen it in Madrid or in Hong Kong, they have to clear the rights with another company.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they ask you for the copy, and okay.
Yeah, or they ask us the copy of this best restored version, but it's not the only version available. Maybe the archive in Hong Kong has a 35mm print from 50 years ago, and they can still screen it. Maybe it's old, it's dirty, but anyway, it's the thing. So there are many possibilities. We are trying to reach the highest level of restoration for each project, with a lot of care, a lot of love for each film, which is really, you know, as I said before, like the start of a second life. But maybe there will be a third life within 50 years with a new restoration done in, with a new technology.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I would like to hear a little bit more, Guy, about the Chaplin heritage, because
Yeah.
we have, as I mentioned you, we have the screening of El Chico in 2 hours in a theater in Madrid. And you mentioned already that there was the lab of Bologna, the one who did the restoration. But also, I would like to hear a little bit more, because
That's a very interesting story, because that's the start of the Chaplin project. So first of all, I hope you will screen the restored version.
or key version. I don't know if there are. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Because so it was the start of the Chaplin project, because around 20 years ago, the director of Cineteca, Gianluca Farinelli, had a wonderful intuition that was to propose to the Chaplin family to restore the kit. Because we had a screening on the Piazza Maggiore of an old print, and the quality was not so good. So everybody was a little bit sad about it. The film is always beautiful, but when the print is poor, you know, it hurts a little bit, for at least for film archivists, for sure. So and so he went to meet the family of there is an association, Chaplin, in Paris, and so he proposed to restore that film. And they said, yes, okay, you can try. You pay for it. You do your test and everything. And at the end, the result was quite good. So they were satisfied with the result. And so we proposed to restore the other films. And then also at some point, the trust relation was growing, and we worked more and more on the heritage of Chaplin, the films to start with. But at some point, the family, my colleague Cecilia Cencerelli was in charge of this project, so she also went to Switzerland in the house of Chaplin near Vevey, and so there were some photos, some documents that were kept in that house. And so we started proposing that we could make also a website about all these documents and photos and production sheets and so on and so on. So there is a dedicated website called, if I'm right, charlie-chaplin-archive.org, where a lot of these documents are now available. And if you are curious about the story of the making of the kit, which is extremely interesting story, I think it's the 100th anniversary of the premiere a few days ago, or one month ago. But also the making of the film, how we practically Chaplin had to run away with his film from the lawyers, because he had a divorce with his wife at the time. So they were chasing him around the US, and he was traveling and hiding in motels with the original material, and cutting it in different hotel rooms. And but in the end, it became a wonderful masterpiece.
All right. So thank you very much. Thank you, Jorge, also for your support. And see you next time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Buenas noches.